Seth Lawrence interview guests live, as well as watch archived video podcasts of any interview you missed. Whether on Facebook or YouTube, we're providing two more ways that Central Illinois' local news station, WHOW, delivers compelling content for you.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom today is Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools. Dr. Weidner, good to see you. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Seth. I'm wonderful. I love this sunshiny weather we're having. It's been a great week and feels like maybe winter might be over, hopefully.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, right? I know spring sports got underway this week, and I venture a guess you've probably got a lot of kids outside this week. So, yeah, it's been a great week for those things.
Yeah, we have winter sports wrapping up. We've got junior high, 8th grade volleyball won their regional game last night, so they get to play again tonight, so they're still going. Last indoor track is today, and then we've got our spring sports, softball, baseball, and outdoor track going with practices and ready to start their first games and meets coming up here pretty soon.
Nice, very good. So a lot going on, and those things all underway. And Dr. Weidner, I'll tell you what, let's start with, you were telling me before we got started, a great program that Cerro Gordo brought in, Cerro Gordo Schools brought in, Marisa's Purpose. There was an assembly. Tell me about this initiative, what's going on, and why did Cerro Gordo Schools get involved?
Sure. Yeah, so Marisa's Purpose is a nonprofit group that was started by Marisa's parents, the Geyers. Marisa was a young lady who died of an accidental drug overdose. And after her death, her parents started this program to help educate youth about the dangers of drugs, to kind of give resources to young people and also to give resources about recovery. And so Marisa's Purpose partnered with the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation to bring an assembly to schools in Piatt County and also Tuscola and Arthur Livingston Atwood Hammond. So they brought a speaker named Michael De Leon last week. He went all over the county, all over the area, and talked to junior high and high school students. His message is about some of the choices that he made and the consequences that he faced because of that. So he talks to the kids about the dangers of not only drugs, but also of vaping, and has a really powerful message that really resonates with the kids. And I've talked to other administrators in the area that not only had experienced his assembly this time around, but have had him out in the past and have talked about the impact that he has on kids. So I think that I definitely wanted to give a shout out to Marisa's Purpose and the Heart of Illinois Community Foundation for bringing that to our schools, because I think their message and the work they do is so important.
It's funny you mentioned that. We just had our police chief in, and Mr. De Leon gave a presentation in Clinton last week, and our chief was, who's, obviously law enforcement, veteran of seeing a lot of things, said he was very moved by what that gentleman had to offer. So, I think his message was powerful. What was his message to the kids? What were some of the highlights of the things he had to say, Dr. Weidner?
I think it's just, helping them understand that their choices have consequences and, just giving them the reassurance to kind of do the right thing. So he does have a website. It's steeredstraight.org, and it gives resources for both students, parents, and schools. It's got some short videos on there as well. So I think that's, especially for parents, I think that's a good resource to know how to talk to your kids about it. I think parents don't always know kind of the things to look for or the right things to say. So looking those kinds of things up can be helpful. And Marisa's Purpose website has resources as well.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So yeah, great program. Is that something that you hope to be a part of again, kind of going forward?
Yes. And I think Marisa's Purpose does try to bring out different assemblies every year and tries to partner with the schools in a variety of ways. So
okay.
really made it their mission to educate, the youth in the area and to provide resources. So they've done a really wonderful thing for our community.
Yeah, I know you're a couple of years in there at Cerro Gordo. Have you had experience with them in the past and other assemblies they've helped organize?
Yes. Last year, our students traveled to be met for the assembly that they did. So this year we were able to host here. And so as long as they are providing that, that's something that we'll definitely want to participate in.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, that's great stuff. And obviously I'm sure those messages hit home for kids, and, hopefully it's one of those things that carries with them beyond the assembly, maybe the days that follow, because, sometimes the farther separated you get from those sorts of events, maybe that message just kind of softens a little bit. So hopefully it's something that stays with them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Very good. Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, my guest on the Zoom today. Dr. Weidner, staffing, I'm sure you're starting to think about next year. You're probably always thinking about next year in terms of staffing because it's such a challenge. What do you have going on? How is staffing in Cerro Gordo right now?
Well, we've been lucky to have our positions filled this year. I think you probably know that staffing at all schools has been an issue since COVID. It's been a very challenging time to find teachers and substitute teachers. So right now we are definitely in hiring mode for next year. We have created a new position that we're really excited about. We are adding a Dean of Students / Athletic Director. That position is still open, but we have started interviewing and will continue to interview for that.
Okay.
So this person will work with our junior high school principal to help with things like attendance and discipline, some of the day-to-day things, but also run our sports programs and extracurricular activities. So we are very excited to be adding that position. We anticipate some elementary classroom teacher openings. We have a math intervention opening coming up that we know we'll have a lot of candidates for. That'll be a great position. Speech language pathologist, and then we'll have a variety of coaching positions. So this is really the time that we're working to fill those vacancies. We sent a representative over to Milliken to meet with prospective teachers over there. And then I headed over to Illinois State last week to a job fair there to recruit teachers as well. So we're doing our best to recruit the best candidates that we can and get some great teachers here at Cerro Gordo.
Yeah. This might be a dumb question. A Dean of Students sounds a lot like an assistant principal. Is there a difference between those two positions?
So not a lot of difference. We've opened up the position to be posted as you may or may not have a Type 75 certificate, and that's just a certain type of license for an administrator in Illinois. So that opens up our candidate pool. Preferably, the candidate would have a Type 75 because that allows them to evaluate teachers and do certain types of discipline. But we wanted to make the candidate pool as big as possible. So we enlisted it as a Dean of Students for that reason.
That sounds a lot like, and maybe I'm wrong, that sounds a lot like that kind of bureaucratic red tape you have to jump through, to become a teacher of a certain, subject or position or whatever. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. We get creative in order to keep that candidate pool as big as we can.
So my question is, and I feel like we're jumping off the beaten path a little bit, so I apologize for that. But would it be easier for districts if they eliminated those types of things? I mean, you want teachers to have their certificates, right? And like you said, ideally a candidate would have the C, whatever number you mentioned. Would it be easier if they just eliminated things like that and said, "Hey, we're perfectly capable of hiring qualified people to fill a position"? Is that a fair question? Is that a fair assessment?
That's a tricky one. This is my 25th year in education, 19th as an administrator. So I've been an administrator hiring teachers when I've had a stack of applications, of 150 on my desk, and I've been an administrator when we have 2 applications. So I think there have been times when they've put a lot of restrictions on licensing and the hoops that you have to jump through to get certified. And then as the pool of candidates has gone down, those limitations have been reduced and reduced and reduced. So I think it's important that we have standards and that we have certifications and things like that. But when it comes down to filling these positions, we definitely need to be allowed to get people into these positions.
Right. So it kind of, it sounds like a double-edged sword. We're like, yes, you
It
need
is.
it, but at the same time, like sometimes it limits who you can hire. So
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's fair to say that most districts in the area probably have long-term subs serving in positions right now because there just aren't candidates who meet all the certification requirements for some of the hard to fill positions, math, science, special education. Sometimes those positions are really hard to fill. And when you can't fill them, you put long-term subs in those until you can.
how is finding subs right now in your district?
It's still tricky. I think we've gotten better through the year. We raised our substitute pay mid-year this year. We've done a really active job in trying to recruit subs through our social media, through the Regional Office of Education list. So we've worked really hard to recruit subs, but it is still challenging. It's still one of the biggest problems we face, and it has a major impact on what we do from day to day.
Like how?
Well, whenever you're looking for substitute teachers, you've got to cover those classes somehow. So it might mean pulling a teacher from a different subject. So pulling art or music or PE or a teacher's aide or something of that nature. So if you're pulling a staff member from one thing, then you're removing that option for the day. So that's not something that we want to do. It's a little bit easier at the junior high school because the way that their schedule works, teachers can internally sub for each other during their planning period. So that's a little bit easier to do. At the elementary school, it's more impactful.
I see. Gotcha. Interesting stuff. Well, Dr. Weidner, anything else on staffing? Any other positions you're looking for? Any, more examples of getting creative? Anything like that?
No, those are all our positions. I think we're always creative in a small district to kind of fill everything the way that, that we can. So we're always looking at the certifications that our staff members have and moving people around accordingly. So
Yeah.
I'm confident that we'll get everything filled and get good candidates.
How big are your classrooms? Like, what's the average classroom size in Cerro Gordo?
Probably, it would vary a little bit, but between 15 and 20 is probably
Okay.
in that range.
Gotcha. Very good. Very good. Well, Dr. Weidner, where do folks go to find those job openings in Cerro Gordo if they're interested?
You can look on our website at www.cgbroncos.org and also follow us on Facebook at Cerro Gordo School District number 100.
Very good. Well, Dr. Weidner, let's break here. Come back with some more. Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, my guest on the Zoom. More to come with Dr. Weidner next.
WHOW.
Your Clinton Save-A-Lot helps control inflation every day. Here's store owner Dave Jackson.
One thing that keeps me motivated, besides the fact I love the business, is I'll have customers stop me, holler down the aisle, or walk up to me and say, hey, I want to thank you for what you've done and what the store has done to control inflation and to keep it where we can afford to buy groceries. I mean, I hear this on a very regular basis. It just drives home the fact that what we're doing is having an impact. People are noticing it. It really does mean a lot.
And as Dave always says,
Hope to see you soon.
Shane Steinberg here from Highway 51 Exchange, your equipment rental headquarters, south of Clinton on US 51. Check our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com to book online today and pick up tomorrow. Highway 51 Exchange.
Longview Community Bank provides real local ag lending. Vice President and Loan Officer Nate Sams here, asking you to find out the many ag lending products we can offer your farm by clicking our ad on the local news page of DeWittDailyNews.com.
In addition to great radio marketing, the Miller Media Group now offers a full suite of digital marketing solutions. Our affordable programs include custom web design and SEO to help you get found on Google. Seeking more inbound web and store traffic? Our Facebook, YouTube, and geo-targeted marketing programs are all designed to make your cash register ring. To get started, call your Miller Media account manager or go to mmgdigitalnow.com. Miller Media Digital, where digital becomes local.
WHOW is Central Illinois' ag station, and that includes providing farmers information on how the commodity markets close each day and week. I'm Todd Gleason from Illinois Public Media, University of Illinois Extension, inviting you to hear the daily closing market report weekday afternoons at 5:06, and on Saturdays tune in for Commodity Week with a review of the week's markets at 8:30 in the morning, all on WHOW AM, FM, and streamed online.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio, or on the Zoom call, I guess I should say, this morning is Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools. Dr. Weidner, we do got to get you in the studio sometime and show you around the place a little bit. But in the meantime, it's good to have you on the show, and I know you did an event recently that I'm sure your students look forward to, and maybe a teacher or two trying to teach those students a lesson. What was going on? How about your staff versus students basketball game?
Yeah, this is an annual event. We've had it for the last 5 years. And so this is students versus staff basketball. We had it last Thursday night, and it is for our junior high and high school students, and anyone can sign up. So there are 3 games. First, the junior high students play the staff, and then the freshmen and sophomore play against the juniors and seniors. Whoever wins those 2 games goes to the championship. So this year it was the staff versus the juniors and seniors. The staff squeaked out a victory by 1 point against the juniors and seniors. We didn't have any injuries. We had a lot of very sore staff members the next day. But it's a really, really fun event. The staff always selects a theme and makes a uniform with t-shirts based on the theme. This year, the theme was sitcoms. So we had posters all over the school with sitcoms from the 80s and 90s. Our band teacher, Mr. Pritchard, put staff faces on the sitcom posters. So you saw teachers' faces on Friends posters and Golden Girls posters and things like that, which was really funny for the kids to try to guess what those were. He also made a promo video that we posted on our Facebook that was a spoof on the introduction to Full House, which was hilarious and just a lot of fun. So I played basketball. I was running up and down the court with the kids, just grinning ear to ear. It was an absolute blast for the kids, for the staff, for everybody in the stands. But the best part of it, I think, is that it's a charity event every year. And so each year, it might be a different a charity that we donate to. Sometimes it's a family in the community that's in need. This year, we were able to raise $650 and donate it to the Lord's Storehouse, which is a food pantry in Cisco that's just down the road from us. Our students volunteer their time at the Lord's Storehouse, sometimes with their teams and things like that. So it's a charity that's kind of near and dear to our heart. So
Nice.
Event that's a lot of fun for us. It's a great community event, but also, we raise some money for charity, which is always a great thing.
Gotcha. Very good. So that's really neat. And I bet, like you said, the staff probably had a good time with it. And I wonder if the students had even more fun, getting to take that favorite teacher or coach to task a little bit in an open forum like that.
Oh yeah, they were definitely not going easy on us.
Very good, very good. Well, excuse me, Dr. Weidner, what else is going on in Cerro Gordo schools these days?
We are gearing up for state testing. So we have the Illinois Assessment of Readiness coming up for our 3rd through 8th graders. The Illinois Science Assessment is coming up. And then, of course, our high school juniors will take the ACT. That is a change this year. It was the SAT for several years, and the state has switched back to the ACT. Our freshmen and sophomores take the practice ACT. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into that in terms of getting the kids ready for the content, but also getting them ready for the computer features, making sure that we have the technology set up, making sure that we have the infrastructure, all of the kids entered into the system properly. It's a lot of preparation work to make sure that goes really smoothly. And then communicating with our families, make sure you have your kids here those days, make sure they're well rested and well fed and ready for the test. Other than the ACT, that one really does count for students, or really can count for students. The others, they're not graded on per se. It doesn't have any impact on them, but it does have an impact on the school And it's the way that we're judged and the way that we show that we're, getting our kids ready to meet these state standards. And it's something that comes out on the school report card. And so it's definitely something that is important to us.
Gotcha. Very good. Very good. Yeah. So important to schools, obviously. And I know one of the challenges over the years with this testing has been, trying to get the kids to buy in, because other than the ACT, it doesn't necessarily affect them that much. So how does Cerro Gordo schools go about getting kids to buy into these tests and care about them and realize that this is important for them and the school?
Sure. So I think for the most part, kids just naturally want to do their best, and they do try their hardest. So I don't think that's a major issue of it. I think that we do try to, especially at the younger grades, we provide little treats and things like that to make testing week a little bit less boring and, just kind of make it a fun week. But I think that we try to emphasize to the kids that this is something that it's important, that we want you to do your best on, and that we take pride in our test scores here. And our test scores have traditionally been good, and we want to continue that. So emphasizing that pride in our school and our achievement is something that we try to highlight.
Sounds great. Well, Dr. Weidner, about a minute left here. Believe it or not, before we know it, summer is going to be here. What's Cerro Gordo got going on this summer?
We have several small projects going on this summer. So we're working on some upgrades inside the building with lighting in some of our classrooms and ceiling upgrades. We've got a few intercom and camera upgrades going on. Nothing too major. We're doing some table and replacements over in the elementary school, and then just a lot of the standard cleaning and things of that nature. So I think I mentioned last month, we've got our 10-year health, life, safety inspection. So that'll be a big thing that we are doing with our architecture firm this summer to see what we need to put on our agenda for later on down the road.
Very good. Well, Dr. Weidner, where do folks go to keep up with all things Cerro Gordo schools?
Our website is www.cgbroncos.org, and our Facebook page is Cerro Gordo School District number 100.
Easy enough. Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, our guest on the Zoom today. Network News comes your way next on The Morning Show.
WHOW.